Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, 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 welcome. Let me know if you hear me, people. This is new for me. Just go ahead and put yes in the chat room, a thumbs up, an emoji. I don't care what it is. Let me know if you can hear me in the chat room. If you do, then we're going to get started. If not, I got some things to handle. Come on, help me out, people. Help me out. Do you hear me? Let me know if you hear me. I got 4 people in the chat room. Put a yes. Yes. Thank you so much for showing up. And while everybody come in the room, because we had a lot of people register for this event through my Eventbrite. And I hope y'all hear me loud and clear. Microphone check 1 2 1 2. We're going to start to get people in the room. And as we start to get people in the room, I want to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Rose, because something very interesting happened. Hello, Lena, how you doing? Something very interesting happened, right? And we know if you're here for codependency, you know you're going to know a little bit of what I'm talking about. You get a little stressed. You get hi, Alex. You get how you doing? You get a little overbearing. You know it becomes overbearing for you. And you say you want to throw it all out with the bathwater. You don't want to touch it. And that was me. It was a little bit exhausting, but y'all made me accountable. For every person who shared the post on Facebook, for every person, that's good, Lena. For every person who showed the post on Facebook, YouTube, by way of the codependency support group online. A lot of you guys don't know about that group. And you know what? I'm going to put, I hope you have pens. I hope you have paper, because tonight we are going to learn, share, and we're going to get a lot off our chest. So everybody get acquainted, start to come into the room and start to say, where are you from? Because guess what? I got people from UK. I got people from overseas. I got people who registered from it was wonderful. And I tell you, hi. And I tell you, it was overwhelming. But I'm going to do a little work. Let me do maintenance. Because there's a lot of ways you guys can reach me. It just don't have to be in the event page, right? So let's do maintenance. If you tried to reach me before through the Eventbrite or through by way of Facebook, some of you guys don't know that I have a YouTube page, all right? Have a YouTube page. Let me get that up for you guys. That's very important to know, because by way of YouTube, you can certainly, hold on one second, guys. I want to make sure I have my whole list. All right. Hold on one second. You can reach me at Ivy Revine on YouTube. You can reach me at Coach Ivy Revine.com. Guess what, people? I got a codependency assessment up. Never done. Take the assessment. If you're here for codependency and you want to know how codependent you might be, go in there and take the assessment. It's fun. You get some results. And sometimes people think, you know what? I might be codependent. I might be codependent. But you might not be. You might just have a lot of worries. You might have a lot of anxieties. Have anybody ever thought of that? You could reach me at Ivy Revine on Facebook. And a lot of you guys are coming from my event page, right? A lot of you guys are coming from my event page. And guess what? We have reoccurring. We're going to do an 8-week series on codependency and narcissistic abuse recovery. Why are we doing an 8-week series? Because a lot of people don't know A lot of people don't understand either codependency. And you know what? A lot of people have been in relationships with narcissists and don't really understand how that mechanism works. We're going to get down to the science of how narcissism work with codependence, how very toxic that can be, how generational that it can hurt your life going forward, your children, the children's children, right? How does that work? How did that mechanism happen? How did you, as a codependent, get into a relationship with a narcissist? How did that happen? We're going to talk about that. We got a lot to cover. You can find me at Ivy Ravine on Twitter. You can find me just about everywhere. Ivy Ravine. Ivy Ravine. And you know what? You could have been any place else in the world, but you're right here with me. And I do appreciate that. Now, let me tell you what happened. I got everything together. And you know what we do as codependents, right? Just when all of the corks and the screws line up, just when the corks and the screws line up, all of a sudden, you say, you know what? I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. I don't want to do it. It's too much for me. You know what that really is? It's not that we're procrastinators. It's that, and we have this repressed energy, right? Repressed energy. We have this charisma, this repressed energy, this imagination. At the very moment, you have that spark where things go off for you. And then next thing you know, you're running to Walmart, you're buying supplies, you're planning an event, you're trying to work on a non-for-profit, you're trying to finish a book, you're trying to go back into school. And then next thing you know, boom, you let it all go. Why do we do that as codependents? Do anybody know? Is anybody here for the codependency portion of the show? Put yes if you're here for the codependency portion of the show, or I'm just here to talk about some of them crazy narcissists. You tell me what you're here for. You tell me what you're here for. But I tell you, it's not that we can't. It's not. Thank you, Alex. You're here for the codependency? Yes? Okay, well, let me tell you something. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of how codependency works. Because I'm not here as a coach. Some of you might have came here through the Universal Coach Institute. So if you hear, hello, babies. Hi, Aisha. That's my mentor. Everybody say hello to my mentor. And the owner of UCI that I'm just about to speak about. If you're here through the UCI, I'm not here to let you know. I'm not here as a coach. I'm here as a person who have recovered from codependency. But are we truly recovered? Years of therapy, years of support groups, family, friends, gathering together, getting to understand how the mechanism works in you. What makes you tick? Why do you hurt on the inside? Why do you have these anxieties, these worries? Still, after all of that work, all of that codependency therapy and the counseling and the friends and the gather, are you really recovered? No, I don't think we are. I think that there's some mechanisms that still work in us through our triggers, right? And we all know what triggers mean. You can be going really well for a very long time, right? And just when you get into a loving relationship, the triggers start. Why is that? Why does the trigger start? Well, I used to think that somebody used to ask me, I used to get asked all the time because I used to say I'm a codependency recovery coach. And they used to say, what is codependency? I said, you know what? A love addiction. I don't think I could have been further from the truth. And I just said it. I said it that way because some people just don't understand. And for the sake of keeping it short, I would say it's a love addiction. But in reality, it's no more of a love addiction than it is fear. Fear of losing control of everything in your life. Anxiety anxiety of being alone, anxiety of feeling like you're going to be disregarded, anxiety over feeling like someone is not going to pay attention to your feelings, right? Worry, a lot of worry, a lot of worry, constant worry, constantly making sure that everyone is aligned. Every single person is aligned with your idea of what the world should be in your life. Because codependency is a state of affairs in here. It's a mind. It's a mindset. And let me tell you what that means. Just when you could be having a wonderful life. You could have been single, ready to mingle, feeling great, getting your body together, going to school, everything could be happening. You get a relationship, right? And in that relationship, you start to feel like things are a little shifty. You're starting to feel like he's or she is not paying attention to your feelings. You're starting to feel like that person is not letting you know when they're coming in and out of the house. You're starting to feel like that person don't really truly get who you are. And then a series of mechanisms begin, right? The sulking, the nagging, the hurtful behavior, the manipulation. That don't mean we're bad people. It just means that at some point in our life, either through early childhood, young adulthood, even through a trauma, that something happened that we weren't able to control. And we told ourselves in our mind, I'm never going to be in that situation again. I'm going to have control. So when someone says, what is codependency? It's not actually a love addiction, then as much as it is anxiety, worry, and anxiousness, and the need for control. You can be in a relationship and you can meet a man today or a woman today and face that woman and all your codependency, right? And find yourself addicted to this person and really consumed with their end all be all. And next thing you know, if some higher power come along and strip away your anxiety, strip away your worries, strip away your need for control, strip all of that away, you will be looking at that person saying, I don't like you. I really don't like you. I really don't like you. So it's really not a love addiction more than it is an addiction to those behaviors. Did I cover that right? Do y'all understand me when I talk about codependency? Because we're really, really going to get into some meat and potatoes. Now, in codependency, now let's talk about how we could talk about how it began, but do anybody here know or kind of understand how it works in early childhood? If you do, say yes. If you don't, say no, it's fine. If you don't, say no, then I totally get it. But in codependency, somewhere in early childhood trauma, we were taught, or we were taught to believe, especially through early childhood, depending on whether we was neglected, whether we was abused, whether we was adopted, something happened, something traumatic happened when we were a child in early adolescence, right? That we weren't able to control. And we were taught that through that we would have to be more empathetic in the world to get the people around us to act in line, right? So through a mindset, we said as early out of adolescence or early childhood, you felt that if I'm a better child, if I do what I'm supposed to do. Hi Mara. If I do what I'm supposed to do, if I act good, if I act like a well-behaved child, then my parent wouldn't leave. Then my parent will come back. Then my parent wouldn't treat me badly, right? And that kind of sparks codependency, right? So we feel through early childhood that we can control those dynamics through our behavior. And the more well we behave, we assume that people will stay into our lives as we get older and older and older. That's how codependency starts in early childhood. Now, thank you, Lena. Now, once we start to now realize this, as you get older, a lot of these things can go very dormant. A lot of these things can be very dormant. You can grow up. You can have a relatively great high school or college or whatever, right? And you can go out into the world. And it's not until you are in a situation where either you end up in a relationship with someone who is relatively toxic, that or you are in a situation at work that is traumatizing for you, or you have children, and you know how it is with having young children. They start to move out into the world, and you realize you have no control over your children. Some of these things could be very circumstantial, so it's a trigger can occur in your life, and then you start to find that you are moving in a way that is not aligned with your actual belief system, or how you even really feel. Because through codependency, we beat ourselves up a lot in our head. I'm gonna give you an example. I remember when I was in a relationship with someone, and I was doing really great in this relationship. I felt really good. However, I started to realize that I was starting to kind of treat the person that I was having a relationship kind of like how I would treat a young adult child that I had, or a teenage child that I had. Very subtly, it would be like where he would say, I'm going to the store. I would be fine at first. This is how codependency really looks. I would be fine at first. And the next thing you know, he could be out at the store a little longer than I like. And then I'm like, what are you doing? Did you milk the cow when you went to go get the milk? Okay. Did you bake the bread in Italy and then came back? Okay, with the bread. Like what possibly could have taken you so long to go to the store? Now, some people might say, yeah, why would he take that long to go to the store? But aren't we all adults? What right do I have to tell this man when he should or should not come and go? Right? And then I realized that is some of my very own triggers. I had to sit back and think, what did it really hurt? What is really triggering in me? What is the real problem? Why I'm really concerned about whether or not this person goes to the store and take his sweet time going, right? I realized that through previous relationships that there was a pattern where men would go to the store, but they really are not going to the store, right? So then we kind of move our emotions in the past that we had and the memories that we had, and we serve them out into our relationship. Like, take this. This is me. This is me. Codependents thrive on having someone in their life that helps them regulate their emotions. This is where the addiction begins. You feel that you start to become an extension of that very person that you're living with, right? You start to feel that their goals are yours. Where they go should be your business. How they come and go should be your business. What they do, who they know, should be your business, right? Through that early childhood behavior, if I control every dynamic, if I know every circumstance, if I'm part of every situation, nothing will go wrong. But is that really the case? Is that really the case? Don't feel afraid, people, to ask questions, right? Don't feel afraid to ask questions. And then when we get into a situation and then the relationship is starting to shift or starting to end, this is when the codependency really rears its head, right? Because we get very close to secondary psychopath in a sense where it's like we feel like I really got to control this person. This person really has to stay. I am not. I promise you, I am not going to allow this to happen. Me and you, we're in this to stay. Let me give y'all an example. Have y'all ever heard of this song called No Way I'm Living Without You by the Dreamgirls? Please tell me if you heard it. Put it in the comment section. I think everybody heard this. This was a universal song, okay? And it was a very powerful song. I think Jennifer Hudson sung this song for the Dreamgirls, okay? And I'm going to share something with you guys. I want to share something. Okay. Let me know if you see my screen. Do you guys see my screen? Okay. Now, take a look at this message, okay? This is very important. The reason why I broke this up, Mara said, yes. I'm going to start the first. I cannot sing. Let me tell you something. I cannot sing, but I'm going to try to sing. I'm going to try to sing it, okay, a little bit. I'm going to put it on the bigger screen, okay? Okay. I'm going to try to sing this song. No, I'm not going to sing this song. I'm not going to sing this song. You're not going to make a meme out of me. You're not going to make a meme out of me, okay? You're not going to do it. But if you pay attention to the lyrics here, you know, she kind of go into the song. It was very beautiful. You kind of almost don't pay attention to the words because the song is so powerful. And it said, no, 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 no way. No, 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 no way. I'm living without you. Have you ever heard that? Okay. Now pay attention. She says in this song, and I am telling you, I am not going nowhere. You're the best man I've ever known. There's no way I could ever go. Now, the reason why I didn't want to play the song straight out, right, is because I don't need infringement on me, okay? I don't need all this work I put in and then they snatched my whole video down. I'd be devastated, okay? So we can talk about the lyrics quite comfortably. Now, let's pay attention. She said, there's no way I can ever go. No, no, no way. No, 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 no way. I'm living without you. I'm not living without you. I don't want to be free. And you gonna love me. You can't sing, Mara. I can't sing. I cannot. Okay, but she said, and you. So think about that for a second. I don't know if you know anything about if you know anything about the types of codependency. You have active and you have passive. So let's go into that real quick before I jump into these lyrics. And even in the active and the passive codependent, there are some traits and behaviors that line very, very close and very, very close. Some archetypes underneath those active and passive codependent. And an active codependent, she or he can be very, very boisterous about what they want in a relationship. You would almost mistaken them for a little bit of narcissistic, right? You would almost mistaken them for narcissistic because they have no qualms in saying, this is what I want in a relationship. This is what I demand. And this is what I need in a relationship. Okay. The only difference between that active codependent and maybe a narcissist is this. The codependent still, at all expense, would give to another person. The narcissist is very self-centered. It's like you need to, whatever you have to do what you need to do to serve me. And a narcissist and a codependent, regardless of whether they're active or not, would say, I would do everything I can to serve you at the expense of myself. Do you understand what I'm saying? I hope y'all get what I'm saying, right? So an active codependent is somebody who don't mind saying, listen, this is what I want. This is what I demand. I need this. I need you. I'm not going nowhere. I take care of you. I help you with everything. I pay all the bills around here. You're not going nowhere. Okay. I dressed you. Okay. The clothes you have on your back is what I bought. That's an active codependent in a nutshell. This kind of woman would go through her house with a whip, not metaphorically speaking, she want everyone to abide by her rules, abide by her rules. The the word control is her main fear. She don't, more control than it is worry or anxiety. Just control is the main defining factor in this type of codependent, active codependent. The need for control, because she can live comfortably in any chaotic situation, whether it's toxic or not, as long as people are living in her idealized mindset as to what life should be in her mind. Okay? Now, this song said, I'm not going to live without you. This is the first time I've ever heard. Yeah, Kelly. And some people can, and have you heard? Yeah, well, definitely some people can get those two very mixed up. And I had that a lot. I had people come to me who, especially through my clients, who said, do you think I'm narcissistic? Could it be that I'm narcissistic? They were very, very confused about the difference, right? Okay. Yes. Oh, yes, absolutely. And we're going to talk about, yes, absolutely. We're going to talk about the mommy. You brought up a good topic, Aisha, because you know what? There's a mommy that lives in all of us. We're going to talk about that later. Okay. So now in this lyric, she said, there's no way I'm going to live without you. I don't want to be free. This is very, very important. Think about that for a minute. I don't want to be free. Who don't want to be free? That doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't you want to be free? I don't want to be free, right? She is willing in this song, and sung very beautifully. That's what I got from what you said. I don't know anything about this. Okay, very good. Okay, so yes, very much so, Aisha. Now, in the song, right? She says, I don't want to be free. I would rather live in bondage. I would rather live in the pain that you give me. I would rather live in the hurt, in the pain, in the disregard, in you're about to leave me. I would rather live in the pain than to live without you. I don't know about you guys. That sounds very codependent to me, because who doesn't want to be free, right? Now let's take another look. She said, I'm staying, okay? And she said, I'm staying in this situation, whether you like it or not. Okay. Now, let's take another look. Okay. Now, she said, this is very important now. She said, we're part of the same place. We're part of the same time. We both share the same blood. We both have the same mind. This is very important. In codependency, they merge with their partner. They merge with them. We're part of the same place. We're part of the same time. So a codependent would ruminate on a very loving situation when they first started their love relationship with their love source. We're going to discuss what love source is in a minute. So they have a love source, and a codependent will merge with that love source. So she believes, as she ruminates mean take a snapshot, take a thought, remember the good times, remember the time when it first started, that fantasy, that novel story, my knight in shining armor, when he first came in and romanced me and loved me and idolized me, right? So we're part of the same place. And then she will believe that they come from the same thought patterns. They come from the same feelings, right? And then that merging, we both have the same blood and we both share the same mind. But how is that possible when this person is getting ready to leave her? How do they have the same mind? Obviously, they're not thinking alike in this situation, right? She said, please don't go away from me. Stay with me. She said, just stay and hold me. She said, just stay and hold me, please. Now, this is the situation here. She's like, This is the part where a codependent will literally beg her love source, especially if she feels that the person is starting to discard her. Don't leave me. I don't care how bad it gets. I don't care how horrible I feel. We're going to live unhappily, unhappily ever after. Unhappily. Yep. Yep. That's right. That's right, Kelly. When I was a kid, this seemed cute, and almost 40 now, and I know it's unhealthy. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's definitely unhealthy in our 40s, right? Now, she also said, this is the part where she got really, in this song, she got loud. She said, tear down the mountain. She said, what was that again? She said, tear down the mountain, yell, scream, and shout. I don't say, you can say what you want. I'm not walking out. Stop all the rivers, push, strike, and kill. I'm not going to leave you. There's no way I will. Let me tell you something. She's basically saying, you can kick my ever loving behind up in here. Okay? You can scream, push, kick a wall. You could tear down a mountain, yell, scream, shout. You could go outside and kill somebody. I don't care. I'm here. I am not leaving you. I'm not leaving. Why would I? Why would I? It's unhealthy for me and you, but I'm staying right here. Right? So this is very important, and I wanted to share that with you guys. Let me get back to my camera. In codependency, it's almost, especially when you're in the thick of it all, especially when you haven't realized what you're going through, especially when you don't know what you're suffering from, you don't know what the mechanism is going on in your mind, right? You can literally get in a situation in the cusp of it all, and you don't care what other people think about you, as long as you are with that person. As long as that relationship is going to work, you could care less what people think about you. That person can be the worst person on the planet. They could be the worst person on the planet that everybody sees as the worst person on the planet. And as far as you concerned, that's your love source. And love source is like like almost like fuel for a narcissist. Did anybody know that? It's almost, I wouldn't say like a narcissist, but we have our targets like narcissists have theirs, right? And if we feel like we are completely in love with somebody, it really does not matter. It does not matter what that person does or what anybody sees in that relationship, right? Now, in codependency, there's another type. There's a passive codependent. Now that one works. That person works really, really good. Let me tell you how that mechanism works. They're not likely to say anything. If you've seen a passive codependent, you would almost think that they're doormats. You would think that they're doormats. You would think that, like, damn, like anybody could just say anything to you. You're weak. Like, like you're saying, but that's not really what how it works in them. Underneath their submissiveness, underneath their need to please, and their quiet behavior, or their need to really do a lot for people as a passive codependent, there's something going on in the inside, right? It is not uncommon for a passive codependent, when she's in a relationship with her love source, someone that she feels addicted to, right? It is not uncommon for a passive codependent to work maliciously to keep her love source with her. So let's say, for instance, she has a boyfriend or a husband, and her boyfriend or her husband goes to work, or he has a friend who's another female, right? It is not uncommon for the passive codependent to put jewels in her, or bugs in her husband's ear about his friend, right? Like if she says, I'm going out with some friends, I'm going out with my homegirl, we're going to go have a drink or two. And she'll say, yeah, but your friend, she's not really your friend. She's not really your friend. Right? She wants to eliminate everything or everyone around them, so that the person, it's like she kind of works maliciously. But that doesn't mean they're bad people. Let me tell you something about passive or even active codependents. They will give you the shirt off their back. They work in the community. They love to work with children. They're givers. They're lovers of the community. They're healers of the community. 9 times out of 10, hey, I'm professing that I am one. I am one. But I happen to be the same type of person who is going to self-actualize my life. The kind of person who's going to say, I know what's working in me. I know what my triggers are. Now that I know what my triggers are, I can heal, right? I will heal. Now, underneath those type of codependents, we have quite a few different types of codependents, right? We have the kind of codependents who will give up their dreams for their significant other with no dreams of their own. They would rather be housewives, right? They would rather be housewives. They would rather say they live vicariously through everyone around them. They live vicariously through their children. They live vicariously through their significant other. They live vicariously through family. So they will, but they don't. But they actually don't have no true accomplishments of their own, right? So if you ask this type of person, this type of codependent, like, yeah, so what do you do for yourself? It's like, well, I'm a wife of a doctor. I'm a wife of a doctor. Like, no real identity for themselves. Just, live vicariously, give up everything in their life, having dropped all plans and aspirations to live solely through their partner. Just that total merging of identity, and don't really choose to have any identity of their own, right? And then, you would have some who will actively seek out relationships with really grandiose type of narcissistic men, really, really toxic type of people, right? Um, and especially when they feel like it's going to serve a need for them. So then they'll get into relationships where they don't feel appreciated, where they don't feel like they are being honored in that relationship. They do that almost purposely. They do that almost purposely for some reason, because codependents can live comfortably within the chaos. Okay, the chaos is their comfortability. Back to that early childhood where they were hurt, where they were abandoned, to have that feeling all over again and again in their present relationship is where they work comfortably in, how they know how to move in that relationship. When the worse it can be, the more attached they can be to that significant other and that partner. That's how codependency works. There's also, some that can be really, and then this would fall into that line of that active codependent, right? That counter code, they're called counter codependent, where it's like they are lone wolves. They don't necessarily need or want a relationship. Actually, they say, I don't care, I don't need anybody, I don't need anyone, but that's far from the truth. Beneath all of that is a lot of worry, a lot of anxiety about being alone. They way more hurt than the average person because they have that fear, but they sink their feet into the sand and say, I don't need anyone, I'm good, I'm good with me, my cat, and whatever. But you can tell it's hurting them. You can tell some of the mechanisms that they employ hurt them, because they can be drama queens. They can be very hurtful people. They can seem a little negative, right? They also can have situations going on at work or school, right? Where they don't really get along with a lot of people, and they say, I don't care, I don't need nobody. And then, technically, yeah, it's actually, they spend a lot of time hiding that, but it can be seen. It can definitely be seen. It can be seen. So, do anybody have any questions as to what I had discussed so far? Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask questions. The reason why I say that is because, you know, Aisha, you're a mess. But don't be afraid to ask questions, especially about what I covered about codependency. You know why? Because codependency can still be a very vague area, and we really have not touched. This is an 8-week series. We have not really touched the surface on how. I just want to give kind of a generalized expression on codependency, but guess what? We have not really touched the surface on how codependency works in relationships. We don't. We haven't covered it yet. We just have not covered it. Now, let's talk about something that happens a lot of times. I'm gonna hurt some of you folks. Knowing codependency and how it works. You can be in a relationship with a very normal person and you still would need them to help regulate your emotions. You still would feel like you can ultimately become attached to them. Unhealthy attachment towards a very normal person. And not saying I'm not saying that codependents aren't normal. I don't want you to get that that I'm just saying in terms of mindset. In a relationship, when the relationship is toxic, the more attached the codependent gets. So in life, a codependent is very susceptible to come across narcissistic people. Narcissistic people. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that most codependents end up like when you think about narcissists, the NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, them being 1% of the population, which I don't actually believe that's true. I think it's way more than they say in the Diagnostic Statistic Manual. But the likelihood of them getting into a relationship with a narcissistic person, why do you think that's so? Why do you think that's so? You don't, I mean, y'all don't have to answer that if y'all just here to watch. That's fine. That's fine. But let me tell you how that works. When a codependent go through life, right? And they meet someone. They meet this person for the sake of we're gonna be pronoun safe, but for the sake of we know how narcissistic personality disorder is seen in mostly men, and codependency is seen in mostly women. So for the sake of that, I'm gonna stay on that narrative. But a codependent woman, she go through life, right? She had her early childhood. It was hard. She was neglected as a child by her mother, right? But she grew up and she felt like, you know what? I didn't let none of that stop me. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go in through life and I'm going to be the best person that I can be. And she lands, she sees this guy. She sees this guy and she's kind of taken back. She thinks he's very attractive. She thinks she kind of smitten with him. She finds that he is, all the things she is not, which is, larger than life, intelligent, very good looking, right? Very good looking. And him and her kind of get together and they have this beginning phase in their relationship, right? This beginning phase where they start to work, get to know each other. I want to share something else with you guys, right? I hope you guys see. Let's see. Okay, hold on. Share something else. I have to share this. Okay. Let's see if I can. Okay, remove that. Okay, hold on. Share. Okay, let's share. Let's see if you guys can see something here. Let me know if y'all see my screen. Do y'all see my screen? Say yes. Say yes if you see my screen. Say no if you don't see my screen, because we're gonna work. We doing work today. Yes, no, maybe so. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you for telling me that. Okay. Let's talk about this for a second. Y'all see this? Y'all see what the narcissistic love cycle? I'm going to talk about how this works in relationship to codependence. Because one thing I'm not going to do, I'm not going to get into a full story about narcissists. I think everybody has become really good scholars and experts. Let's see. Wanting to see the good, looking at the person with tunnel vision of what their needs are. Wanting to see the good? What do you mean, Mara? Like wanting to see the good, looking at the person with tunnel vision of what their needs are? Elaborate on that for me while I go into this this portion, right? Okay. Hi, Maisha. How you doing, hon? How you doing? Thank you. Yes, you know what? This is what, oh, I love this. This is what I love. Proclaim it. I love that. I am too. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm the bomb, okay? I'm not going to sit here and say, even with my years of therapy and all that other stuff, I say I'm fully recovered. No, I'm not going to say that. I am codependent. You have to stand up and say it. You know why? Because, honey, at any given time, I am the work in progress. Listen, you're going to have me preach. I'm about to stop sharing my screen and dance. Don't play with me now. Don't play with me. I'm sorry, y'all. She got me worked up over here. Okay. And you gotta say what you are. That's the whole process of healing. You have to say, I know how I work. I know how I move in relationships. I know how people make me feel in these relationships. I know why I get into these relationships with these narcissists. I know I am codependent. I know the work I have to do. I am. Yes, I am. You have to say it. You have to proclaim it. Thank you. Absolutely. Now let's talk about, I think everybody is, yes, healing. Yes. Now I think everybody wants to be, you know why? Put it in the chat. Don't listen. I got to start sharing this, girl. Listen, girl, I love you. Now, that's right. Proclaim it. Yes. Now, in Marla, let me ask you something. You have not Mara, you didn't express. Okay, you got to talk about that. We got to talk about that for a second. I'm gonna pin that so we can talk about it. Now, in narcissism, right? I think everybody has become the experts in narcissism. Everybody do the research. The reason why everybody is an expert in narcissism, because even though it is 1% of the population, them fools are going. They are in relationships with just about everybody. So even when you have a narc mom and I have 3 narc babies. Okay, listen, girl. We're going to talk about it, because let me tell you, it is not uncommon to end up in a relationship with a narcissist as a codependent and then jump out and end up with another narcissist. This is my story too. I was in a relationship with a covert narcissist. Boom, a couple of years after leaving him, boom, a grandiose one. And that grandiose narcissist almost tore me down way more in that 15-year relationship with that covert narcissist. Okay, I might as well. He tried to bury me in the emotional category. Okay, he tried to take me out. Okay, he tried to take me out, ladies. Now, it was when you asked why would a codependent be interested in it. It was when you asked why. Okay, yeah, okay, right. You do. Thank you for clarifying that, right? Yes, we want to see the good in people. That's okay. I got to show that. We want to see the good in people. We believe everyone is good. And that's where we fall short as codependents, right? We want to believe that everybody is as good and as giving and as kind as us. I want that to resonate with y'all for a minute. And I don't even think just codependents go through that. I think that everybody, and this is why anybody can fall victim to a narcissist, a narcissistic personality disorder type person, is because we want to believe that everybody in the world is as good, kind, and giving as we are. That's it in a nutshell, right? And then when we get into this relationship with this person, we come to find out, like, wait a minute, no, well, no, you're not. There's something wrong here. And we want to play savior. We play savior to these type of people, right? The codependent may be looking into a narcissist to see the best in them, possibly wanting to see, please, and associate their approval as love and their control rewards for validation. Mara, you trying to play like you're not going to come up here and talk to me. Okay. And you know what? That's all right, because you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start to share I got to share this link. Y'all are playing with me today, because listen, y'all going to start coming up here and sharing. Where's this link? Goodness gracious. Okay. Well, I'll get to that. I'll get to that. Listen, you're absolutely right about that. When we go out as codependents, let me stay focused with this really quick. I want to get this off my chest. When we go into a relationship and we out in the world as codependents, right? And we meet a guy, and he's bigger than life. He got these dreams. This is where we fall. This is where we really fall for this person, especially if they're a grandiose narcissist. We meet this guy, and he has these call for actions. He's bigger than life. He have these things going on with him, right? Like, oh, I want to feed world hunger. I want to do a coat drive. I want to help with gentrification. I want to, you know what I'm saying? I want to help men coming out of jail. I want to help children. I want to help, they're larger than life. They have an agenda, right? Which we've never seen in ourselves, right? Because we start things and don't stop them. We have these huge aspirations that we fall short on. We had dreams, and then sometimes even some of the things that they speak of is something that we even wanted for ourselves, right? Hey, a coat drive for women, I wanted to do that too. Wow. And then we get really tied into them. We get tied into their talks about the world, their travels, the people that they met, right? All of us being really little, small, really still children at heart, believing that the fantasy, right? The fantasy story of the knight in shining armor who's going to come and ride in on his horse and whisk us away and take us to the many places that he have traveled in the world. We still believed it, and here we got this man, and then a process of intoxication began. We get intoxicated with the image. We get intoxicated with this person. They make us feel wonderful at the moment. Wonderful at that moment, right? Now, and if you see in this love cycle and how it really relates, this is the love cycle that any narcissist would have for just about any single person. They don't fall out of the love cycle traits for anybody. Just because you are codependent doesn't make you even it does not make you any more of a perfect fuel than any type of person. Let me tell you why. Because the narcissist does not have a preference. They don't have a preference. They don't have a preference. They don't care if you're pretty, beautiful. They might say that's what they want. They don't care if you're intelligent. They may say that's what they want. They really don't care. The only thing that they care about is that you're going to fall for the shared fantasy. Are you going to fall for the shared fantasy? Are you going to fall for the fantasy that I'm giving you? Are you going to fall for it? Are you going to envelop it? Are you going to merge with the shared fantasies? Are you going to fall for the okie doke? And if you are, that's what make you great fuel. It does not make you do not have to be fairy tale dust. You don't have to have fairy tale dust. You don't have to have a huge empath. You don't have to be a doormat of a codependent. You just have to fall for the shared fantasy. Because even very normal people can fall for a narcissist. And then even, and then of course that trauma bonding with codependency makes it completely hard for us to get away. That's the only difference. When you're codependent, the trauma bonding is stronger. Okay, so a normal person might the okie doke don't work too long. They step out, they walk away, or they say this ain't working for me. They run, right? But if you're codependent, you're like, no, I'm here for the fantasy. I'm here for all of that. I'm here for it. Let's do it, right? So when that love bombing begins, the love bombing, I can use this because my not baby father, who's grandiose, is in town to see our son, and I didn't know what to do. I'm avoiding his calls. Look online and find his life is meant for me. Wow, really? Okay, well, shoot, my Asia, let me tell you something. Like, we're gonna talk about boundaries. We're gonna talk about DNC, do not call. We're gonna have to talk about a lot of things, because let me tell you something. And I'm losing. I love that we're interacting, because it always brings something else up. A narcissist, if you have a relationship at some point, a very long history with a narcissist, right? If you have a very long history with a narcissist, we get caught up in thinking that they can be that they can be normal. We get caught up in thinking that they can be normal. They're not. They're trying to serve some kind of need within themselves. So a lot of times they might call, right, to prove something to someone else, right? So they'll call you to prove something to someone else. They might call you to broadcast. I'm with my baby mother. They might, or they even might want to come and kind of do the low love bombing stages and pull you back into their shared fantasy, right? Yeah, like, if you can, avoid the call. You get nothing from it but the biggest headache, and sometimes more heartache than you ever got before, knowing that history that you had with that person. It happens each and every single time. The dynamics don't change. They're not going to change overnight. I used to believe that. I was in a 15-year relationship with a narcissist. Okay. And still and that ended almost 10 years, 8 years ago. But guess what? I still truly believe that there's a part of him that changes until he calls. And then I'd be like, you know what, damn it, I should have not picked up. I got to stop picking up this phone, you know? Right. I did set girl. Yes. Right. Don't let it go. If you can, stop it, because it just makes you feel murky, especially when they call and you think they're really calling for your best interest. And then you find no, he's calling to, or maybe he's with another woman and say, see, I got a relationship. I got a relationship going with I'm still cool with my baby mother, or, or see everybody, me and my baby mother's cool, or, a way to get back in and then start that whole process again. Right. So love bombing. Love bombing. How does that work with a codependent? How does that work with a codependent? Well, you know what? You can love bomb anybody in the world, but when you love bomb a codependent, they are in it they are for it. They all for it. Where do I sign up? Now, put me on the list. This is where I belong, right? This is where I belong. Therefore, the shared fantasy. The second we get enmeshed and just get merged with that shared fantasy, it's a wrap. There's nothing that person can actually do. Yeah, you're in it for the long haul, or the very long haul. The very long haul. Because once that person starts the process of gaslighting you, because we're going into the next stage, the gaslighting, right? They gaslight you. They'll say something like, you remembered when that just started in a relationship and everything was going well and you had these wonderful conversations, right? And then you start to bring up some of his inconsistencies, right? Yeah, forever and ever. You start to bring up some of his inconsistencies where, they lie so much. They lie so much. They will lie about the smallest details every single moment of the day, every single hour, every single day of the week. Lie. And that's all of the narcissists, all of them across the board. Okay? They lie about the smallest details. So when you start to say, well, I see inconsistencies of what you're saying. You used to say this and now you're saying that. And then, that the whole gaslighting process is, I ain't tell you that. I did not tell you that. Yes, it's the lies, Kelly. Woo, it's the lies. Yes, yes. The lies, especially for a codependent, that drives us absolutely insane. You hear what I tell you? That's the beginning of our biggest anxiety. Because the second you tell us the smallest white lie, and I think that's what everybody, but with a codependent is severely traumatic for us because we don't believe anything you say. So when you tell us you love us, that has a gray area too. And then that's when the concern begins. That's where the worry begins. So then you start to work on every single detail of every single word. You hang on to every single word that they ever said because you want to make sure you're not losing your mind. So it's really traumatic for a codependent because you need them. Yes, it makes sense. It makes us mad because we will love you through anything. Yes. Why lie? Exactly. Especially with that song. I don't even know if you was here, my Asia, for that song where we did the lyrics for I'm not living without you. And in that song, she said, I don't care what you do. Yell, scream, and shout. I'm not walking out. Stop all the rivers, push, strike, and kill. I'm not leaving you. There's no way I will. I'm not leaving. So yes, they can actually, to make it a long story short, they can actually kill somebody. Let's be honest here. We're not going nowhere. Why would you lie? Absolutely. It drives us crazy. Absolutely insane. Now, the discarding is even worse for a codependent. Why is the discarding even worse? I got quite a few people who know some things about some things up in here. Y'all can put it in the chat. Y'all can put it in the comment section. Why is the discard really, really bad for a codependent? Why is it bad? Why is it bad? Well, when you start to feel discarded, like your feelings doesn't matter, they start to speak about the smallest details about you, right? They start to say really harsh things about you, like, oh, why you chewing like that? Oh, why you walking like that? Whoa, why you wearing that? Your feet is big, like, right? The smallest, and they know, because narcissists with that cold empathy, they already know your biggest insecurities. They already have intuition about your biggest insecurities. They know. They know if you have bad teeth and you tend to laugh like with your hand over your mouth a little bit. Guess what? When they start to discard, they be like, oh, well, you need to get that fixed. Okay? This is where they start to unravel you at the core, right? Yes. And my biggest problem is that I am very clear on everything that's happening. I understand my codependency is my trauma response, and this narcissist is a result of his trauma response. Oh, I wish I could have had some clap sounds up in here. We're going to do better next time, y'all. We're going to have some clap stuff going on. But understanding that something is, and the capacity and the discipline to do what needs to be done are two different things. Oh, girl. Yes, Kelly. Oh, my goodness. Yes, we do understand. The wonderful, the really intriguing thing with codependency is that we know we have true empathy, we have true intuition. Oops, and have the capacity, right? Right, right. We actually have true intuition. We do, from early childhood, because from the very, very beginning, we recalled when our parents broke up, or when we were neglected, or when we became, in my case, a parentified child, when we had to take care of all of our siblings, things of that nature, right? So we have true empathy. Okay, we can recall being young and watching the truest, the smallest, minute details, right? What's making everybody happy? What's making everybody tick? How can I improve this environment? How can I make sure everything works well in this environment that I'm in, from early childhood? So when a narcissist is starting the process of discarding you, you see it, even when they think you don't. Well, I got news for you. They probably know you do. They could care less, right? Even more so. even more so that they would do that to somebody like you. Let me tell you why. Your empathy, your giving nature, your sweetness, you're willing to give the shirt off your back, you're willing to be just as giving and kind and talk to them about everything. Let me tell you something about that. That is the biggest narcissistic injury you can ever give them. How dare you? This is what the narcissist thinking. How dare you tell me, okay, what I should do? How dare you be kind to me? How dare you be sweet? They think you're aloof. They think you're silly. They think you're stupid. And guess what? In their mind, stupid people shouldn't tell me nothing. I hope I'm saying something here. I hope I'm resonating with y'all. Okay? How dare you? How dare you be this sweet? How dare you be this kind, this giving? What are you, stupid? Right? What are you, stupid? That's how they feel about you. That's how they feel. Right? So it really doesn't matter how giving, how kind, how very helpful you are, how well you're trying to love them, even through their own trauma from early childhood. It really doesn't matter, and it will never work because they don't have their ego is dismantled, not completely gone, but dismantled. Right? He told me I was stupid for dealing with him. That he wasn't, well, yeah. Well, with that cold empathy, he would know he ain't crap. You know what I'm saying? But he's always going to jump in between the two where he's magnificent or he's great. And then to the part where like, why are you even dealing with me? I ain't nothing. I ain't crap. Right? But yeah. So they start to discard you. They start to discard you in the smallest details, and then it starts to become to the very biggest things, like your feelings don't matter, like when he's walking out the door, and in your codependency, you're like, where are you going? And he's like, don't you ever tell me what to do. I'm a man. I do what I want to do. You don't tell me what to do. That's how they work. Okay. And that's devastating for a codependent, because now I can't control this dynamic that I'm in. I don't know how to move in this dynamic that I'm in. You're acting out of character. How can I continue to love you, or how can I continue to merge with you if you're broken pieces, right? So we want to put them together. How do I put this back together? Please tell me how. Please tell me how. And at all expense, you go through all expense to put it back together. Nothing. There's absolutely nothing you would do to start to mend that, get it back to where it was the love bombing phase. Right? Right? So the next one is, then they get to the part where they start to triangulate after they've discarded you. After, they put you through these series of events, so you questioning your self-esteem and your self-worth. Now you feel lower than you ever felt. This right around then, when they got you ripe in your emotions, where they can, they could poke a hole in you and you'll deflate in a sense. This is when they want to add somebody to the equation, and they don't necessarily have to even bring someone in the household, but they'll simply say something very, very subtle, like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I met this girl at the store, right? And like, you know what I'm saying? I liked how she, I liked how she wore her hair. It was nice. You know what I'm saying? I love how she wore her hair. I thought it was beautiful, right? Your hair is nowhere near close to her hair, right? He'll start to say, I met a few people I want to bring over, and then he start to triangulate you between you and another female. He start to say, another person is better than you in the way they express themselves, better than you in the way they carry themselves. He would even triangulate you by comparing your relationship and his to other people's relationship. Like, oh, I've watched my friend, he has her wife, and his wife is so giving, she's so kind, she does so many things, and you're like, I do the same thing. What are you talking about? Oh no, but not like she do, right? that gets that unravels us. It gets horrible, right? Now, this is what happens when they broke you down, when they broke you down to the core, and they triangulated you and they discarded you and they put you through just about everything, and you're like, my life isn't worth anything. My life isn't just I don't even know. And you start to get these behaviors, especially as a codependent. We start to act like nothing matters anymore. Now, we don't necessarily leave them, but nothing matters to us anymore. Sometimes we do leave. Sometimes it depends on the codependent, right? But they start that hoovering process. They can hoover you outside with whether you left the relationship, or they can hoover you on the inside. What I mean by that is, no matter what you do in that house, they're watching you. They don't want you to watch them, though, but they're watching you and how you move. They hoover your actions. Who are you on the phone with? Who are you talking to? Why are you acting like that? Where are you going? Why you got an attitude? Why you not talking? Why you not acting right? What is your problem? What is your problem? What is my problem? After you try to just tear me up at the core, my problem. I'm the one with the problem now. That's how they hoover you. That's how they hoover you. And just when they start the hoovering process, they want to start getting you back. It's a lording back process, right? They might lord you back by starting to act a little bit like, guess what? They might bring you into a conversation. Guess what? Act like they know, like you the expert in topics. Oh, I was just speaking to somebody. Guess what? I think you know something about this. We need to talk about you know how to do this. You know how to do that. Now all of a sudden you're back. It's somewhat back in their good graces, as far you're assuming you are. They start that process now where they're including you back into a pattern, including you back into a feeling with them again. Now, if you're outside of the house, if you ran away from them, then they start the process of lording you back into the relationship because you're no longer there. They do that by persuasion. Remember how? Persuading you. Remember when we did this? Oh, they want to bring up topics and situations where y'all used to be friends, or where y'all used to hang out, or places that you used to go, or a funny little thing you used to do, your little quirky little jokes you have among each other. They start bringing that back up again. If you have a little inside joke, he starts saying it again, right? He start laughing again. He start laughing again. He start playing around with you again. He start bringing you back into the shared fantasy. Start bringing you back into the shared fantasy. Right? And just when he think he got you back a little bit, he starts to idolize you. He starts to tell people, wow, she's this, she's that, she's my ride or die, she's my soulmate, she's my everything, or whatever. She's my everything. And if you're not back in that relationship, he will idolize someone else. He will start to idolize someone else. This is where the love cycle might begin, in another situation where he starts to idolize another person. Okay, she's wonderful. She's great. She's my soulmate. This is the type of person that I needed to be with for a long time. And then the process began. The romance and the love bombing either begins with that person, or if you stuck around, with you. How do y'all feel about that? I hope I still got people in the comments, or y'all must be really, really, y'all must be really, really into what we're talking about. How does that feel? I hope I'm still sharing my screen. I hope people could still hear me. I hope I'm not out of the live. I still hear people in. But in codependency, yes, in codependency, these type of love cycles, and even if it's a regular person, right? Even if it's a regular person, that whole vicious love cycle, that narcissistic love cycle, is close to post-traumatic stress. It can wreak havoc on you, like post-traumatic stress, in a sense, right? When do we start the process of letting those things go? Why we can't let those things go? Why do you think that when we're in relationships with these narcissistic people, and we see a pattern this love cycle, you know, trickling in over and over again, over and over. I know I can share my story another time, you know, but I've been in it for 15 years and I've watched that love cycle occur all the time. And there was really no spaces in between. That's why a relationship with a narcissist is so very traumatic, because there's no space in between. The cycle is over and over and over, no breaks in between, absolutely no breaks in between. It could go on like this forever. Forever. You stick around hoping like, come on, they're going to get a little older, you know, they're going to get a little older. You feel like that. They're gonna get older. They're gonna get better. They're gonna get wiser. They're gonna slow down a little bit. Then this relationship might work. But no, they don't. It does not happen. Not. It does not happen. We ruminate. We remember when they were in our lives and when things were wonderful and things were great. And guess what? We wishing for those moments to come back again. But they're gonna prove to you every single time and time again, that they can't change. They won't. Remember something very, very important, people. And I got this on the bottom screen, right? Never make someone a priority when you are to them, when all you are to them is an option. By Maya Angelou. I say that for a reason, especially when it comes to codependency, because in the next shows, we're going to get more in depth. This was just an introduction to me and you about our healing series, right? So I'm not going to keep y'all too long tonight, but I want to say this. When you make someone a priority over yourself, you show them how they should treat you. You show them how they should treat you each and every single time. It's important that you get to know that as you go through your healing process. And we're going to talk about ways to heal. We're going to talk about mechanisms to put in place, especially when you're in, especially Maisha, this is for you. When you're faced with that narcissist and you feel like he's pulling down your barriers and your boundaries, and you can't get past those things, and you find it really, really hard to say no, which is one of a codependent's biggest problem, is the word no. Is the word no. But ask yourself this question: am I the priority to me? Am I my priority? That's the question that you need to ask yourself, right? Just taking it in, Mara. Thank you. I find it very exhausting to have to deal with my narcissistic mother, and she's getting older and she's still not better. Yes, Lena, listen, our next show, I need you to be here, because let me tell you about a topic that's very important, that's not discussed a lot. Narcissistic parents. Now, we could talk about narcissistic relationships all day. Everybody know about the narcissistic relationships, but guess what? The narcissistic parents topic is very, very important, especially the narcissistic mothers. Especially the narcissistic mothers. I'm going to give you a small snippet of what we're going to talk about the next show, next week, is because the reason why that topic is really untouched is because people, it's almost taboo to believe, society have us believe that it's almost taboo to assume that a mother isn't nurturing. That because the mother is designed, right, to nurture, to take care of us, to coddle us, play with us, feed us, right? So when when a woman is a narcissist, it's almost like a taboo. It's almost undiscussed. It's almost unfathomable. If I said that right, excuse my tongue twister today. I talk long enough. And people don't understand that narcissistic mothers are the worst type of narcissists. Those that can destroy a family for generations to come if you don't recognize it in your mother. The women are the one who start those generational curses, and they're also where the women are the ones to put them to an end. Am I making myself clear? Right? As women, as mothers, we can either start and continue the generational curse, or we can be the one who put it to an end. I hope I'm speaking about this, that it resonates with you. Yes, it's true. It's almost like a taboo to speak about. It is. It is. It is. Not a lot of people talk about it. So we're going to talk about narcissistic parents in the next show. We absolutely have to. Yes, you want to put that to an end? Well, you came to the right place. You came to the right place. Yes, yes. We are talking about narcissistic parents in the next show. This has mothers specifically. It's very, very important that we really horn in on that topic, right? They could, that could, they're the reason, they can be the reason. Well, they absolutely the reasons why we're codependent. But guess what? It doesn't teach us how to react to the relationships that we go into the world and have with just about anybody. It destroys us at our core each and every time. I'm so grateful that I didn't have no narcissistic parents. My mother was highly codependent, but I didn't see that in her romantic relationship. Very, very interesting, Kelly. Yes. Having a codependent parent can be also another reason for your codependency, right? You might not have seen that in her relationships, but most certainly having a codependent parent can be very traumatic in a sense, right? Because there's still certain mechanisms at play in the family, right? In the family, a codependent mother can most certainly elicit you in a whole different way, right? Like, oh, woe is me. My life is, I need you around me. My life is in shambles. I need my kids around me. My heart is broken without y'all. They can either play that role, right? They could play that role, or they can have control problems in terms of, rule with an iron fist and those type of things, right? Or they could be doormats and let you just have your way in the world, which can totally create narcissism, narcissist. Or, you know what I'm saying? It could be codependent. If it could be, what are the implications of seeing both traits in one person? Good question, Mara. Do you think that's even possible to see both traits in one person? That's a great question. What are the implications? My mom claimed to be codependent and told me that my dad was not, but I saw it differently. She was sure. I like that, my age. Absolutely. Isn't it funny how they can tell, they can, especially with a narcissist, in a minute can tell you what someone else is, right? Yeah, Kelly, I don't think it's possible either. I don't think it's possible. You have to realize how the mechanism for ego work, right? Time, perhaps over time. Yeah, perhaps over. What you mean, perhaps over time, in terms of you have to realize how the ego work. Like they evolve from codependence to narcissists. No, not likely. Not likely. Mm-mm, mm-mm. They can evolve to a different type of codependent that might appear to be a little bit narcissistic. They can gravitate from that very passive behavior to a counter codependent, which is another terminology for a codependent narcissist, right? But it's still codependent, right? Maybe a narcissist disguise, maybe, absolutely, maybe. A little disclaimer here. I'm no psychologist, but I've been in this. I've been doing the work in this field. I've followed very prominent. I'm going to put when this live get recorded, I'm going to put all of the necessary people who I follow in the field of codependency and narcissistic abuse, and cite them at the appropriate time. Absolutely. I'm codependent. I lived North traits as a way to survive. Yeah. So see, that's coping. That's coping, Myasia. And through coping, especially through narcissism, through codependency, right? When we get into relationships that's very traumatic for us, and because we've been in relationships with narcissists, right? We can end up really like really mirroring their reactions or how they were in the relationship as a coping way in the world. So you can almost be kind of, I wouldn't say healthy narcissism, but it can be, it could be either healthy or toxic narcissism, right? But that's your way to cope in the world. So you might mirror some of some of the way that your ex-narcissist may have acted in order to cope in the world, right? I noticed myself doing it at times. Yeah. Yeah. When you feel like you've really been through traumatizing situations and you get a lot older, and this might be something that you're talking to as well, Mara, is that at the end of eventually you kind of put up a wall that you're not letting anybody in, and you you can almost appear very self-centered, right? And that's only if you've been putting people, a lot of people, right, in ahead of yourself for a very long time, right? For a very long time. And you start to say, no more, no more. It's about me, 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 me. I. And I might appear very narcissistic, but not usually, because you are still the very same person at the core. You're still the very same person that if you're placed in a relationship with somebody, you start to show addictive behaviors in terms of the worry and the controlling and all that other stuff. And then to the extension of also being, you know, too giving or too kind, even in intimate relationships. In intimate relationships. So, in terms of mothers, as far as codependency is, we might look at them and say, she might be a little narcissistic, right? But, watch how she is in an intimate relationship. The intimate relationship is the defining factor here on how they may actually be, whether they are codependent or not. The intimate relationships is very, very telling. Okay? How I act with my children may not actually be how I act with my with a boyfriend, right? So guess what? I found as a codependent, my children were free when I was really in my codependency. My children was free to do exactly what they want to do every time. But I would question when my boyfriend was leaving the house, but my children, as a codependent, I'm being honest. Are we truthful here? Are we adults in this room? I most certainly, didn't wasn't as let my children do what they want to do. And then in terms of the relationship, I might have been a little bit harder on the significant other. Right. Right. Thanks, Kelly. Yeah. So we're going to get into the narcissistic parents next week, people. The following week after that, we're going to dive really further into the shared fantasy and what does that mean. And we're going to I got somebody working with me on a real, like a children's story in a sense, right? Some characters. We're going to make it fun so that we talk about the shared fantasy like a really children's book, because we're still children at the core, right? We're still kids at the core in a sense, right? Healing from the world, trying to be grown-ups in this world, in this broken world with our brokenness. We're going to heal. We're going to be this. This is us together, learning and healing at the same time. All right. And I'm not going to hold you to it, guys. All I want to know is that, are you putting yourself first this time? Are you putting yourself first this time? Think about it. Right? That's not the banner I wanted to put up, right? Right? I want you guys to really resonate on that, really think about that, because in the next couple of weeks, right, we're going to have us some real fun. We really going to dive in, people. I want to thank everybody for coming. Remember, yes, Lena, please do commit. I'm trying. Myasia, yes. Are you putting yourself first? Think about that. In codependency, especially when we're healing, people don't want to hear this. Part of healing is practicing a little healthy narcissism. Now, isn't that? Think about it. We're going to talk about that next week. Practicing a little healthy narcissism. You're welcome. Thank you for showing. We're going to practice a little healthy narcissism. All right? We're going to talk about that. Remember that the time is now. If you really feel like this is a place in my life where I self-actualize my life, where I know who I am as a person. I know what makes me ticks in relationships. I know what my traumas are. I know where I want to head. Each time I be selfish when people in my life and money. You can never be too selfish, Myasia, especially as a codependent. It's time to be selfish. You know why? Because you gave it all away. Especially in that narcissistic relationship. You gave it all away. Don't be confused about that. Me time is important. I love my me time. I love my me time. Try and call me on my me time. It might sound a little narcissistic, but watch what happens if somebody calls me on my me time. I have been known to take me a day in a hotel over the weekend, or a weekend in a hotel by myself with a jacuzzi spa and some strawberries and whipped cream. Try and call me. Try and call me, people. I double dog dare you. Everybody in my house knows I double dog one person to call me. Okay? That's right. That's how I feel. That's right. I take my me time. I book it all. I book a whole extravaganza for me. Me. And it might sound narcissist, but I can recall when I gave nothing for myself. Nothing. Absolutely nothing for myself. I gave it all away. Everybody can have it. I didn't even dress myself well. Bought clothes and items and paid bills and everything. I had nothing for me. Nothing. I devoted my life to my children. They're grown now. It's me time. Treat yourself. Thank you, Mara. Treat yourself. And it might seem a little narcissistic. No, it's healthy narcissism. I'm taking care of me. It's my time to shine. Me. What's a little weekend? Okay? What's a little weekend when I'm giving it all away all month long? Yes. Thank you. Yes, it's the extravaganza for myself. Think about that. Right? And we're gonna have a lot of extravaganzas here. Okay? In the Codependency Narcissistic Abuse Recovery event, open mic. Okay, every single Thursday at 8 p.m. What we're gonna do is get down to the core and start the healing process. What we're not gonna do, okay, is not show up. Okay, I'm talking to each and every single one of y'all. Be there. I thank y'all for coming, my lovelies. I thank y'all for coming. We have work to do. Y'all have a good night.